Brutal news coming out today as Precious Achuiwa will be out indefinitely due to partially torn ligaments in his right ankle. So we'll break down that injury and how it will impact the Toronto Raptors in this video, as well as an NBA executive out here escalating Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade rumors to the Toronto Raptors. So we'll discuss those and a whole bunch more in this video. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here of the Raptors Live, just breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news. And if you guys want to stay up to date with everything surrounding the Toronto Raptors, definitely hit that subscribe button. We're on that push for 27,000 subs before the end of November, so let's see if we can get there. But we do have some news to discuss, and the first thing we're talking about is a brutal Precious Achuiwa injury update. As I said in the intro, that ankle roll, that inside ankle roll we saw from Precious Achuiwa last night, it wasn't good. We speculated maybe it was just a quick tweak and he'd be able to return quickly. Maybe it was just a little bit of a scare, but no. Bad news came out today as Precious Achuiwa is going to be out indefinitely with partial tears of ligaments in his right ankle. Already without Pascal Siakam, Toronto is now down another rangy forward. This is coming from Tim Bontemps, and it was retweeted by Adrian Wojnarowski. So an unfortunate Woj bomb being dropped today just via retweet, but man, when I saw this, I was just absolutely depressed. Now, Precious Achuiwa, some people are saying, hooray, he's been bad this season. Let's have this guy out and get Thaddeus Young some more minutes and stuff. But Nick Nurse just came out, going into last night, had a pep talk to Precious Achuiwa. Now, he still looked a bit out of control in this most recent game, but he's had an up and down year with the Toronto Raptors. He's had an up and down tenure, with this team since we ended up trading for him. But the highs of Precious Achuiwa are just extremely elite, right? We discussed this entire season, how he's either your 9th best player or your 3rd best player on any given night. It's no real in between with Precious, and a lot of times he is that 3rd best player. He's a streaky guy, and this is a massive player that we're losing. But forget the impact to a young guy, a big man that relies on a lot of athleticism, a lot of his mobility to get his buckets, his improved handle for a big man, his 3-point shot and stuff. But athleticism is certainly a big part of Precious's game. So dealing with a foot injury and ankle injury just sucks this early in his career. So that's just unfortunate, and just having a guy have to sit out, which you hate to see it regardless of the guy is. But in terms of the impact on this Toronto Raptors team, the bench has been the question mark for this roster for the past couple seasons, and yes, Precious Achuiwa has his highs and his lows, as I keep bringing up, but he is an integral part to this squad. Nick Nurse came out and said he expected Precious Achuiwa to be getting 30 minutes per night this year, and we've even seen it in certain games where Precious Achuiwa has completely turned it around for us. Now, Otto Porter Jr. is going to be that stabilizing force off the bench. I have the expectations, the hope for Chris Boucher to be one of those guys as well, even though he can be inconsistent himself. But Precious Achuiwa is really that X factor that can single-handedly take over a game to win us a game if he's, having an on night. So the fact that the Raptors don't have that impact player coming off the bench now just absolutely sucks. And it takes away more development from Precious Achuiwa because he got better as the season went along last year. And, still obviously maybe taking a step back from his real peak of last season at the start of this year. I mean, his stats did drop a little bit. Currently is down by 0.3 points per game. The 3-point percentage is really took a brutal hit there. Hopefully that could, bounce back, to the 36% it was at last season, or the 40% it was at the end of last year. The jump shot's been lower. His handle has been a little bit more out of control. So you can definitely say regress from the end of last season, but he's a guy that continuously improves the more he plays. And he was going to be a key piece of this Raptor squad. It has been this season. There's been nights where we've been really drumming up that Precious propaganda, even without the 3-point shot this year, right? So having him go down early in the season just absolutely sucks because he's the type of guy that needs to get more games under his belt. He was a very raw prospect when we made that trade for Kyle Lowry and bringing him back, right? He's a very raw player. Nick Nurse sort of molded him into the guy that he wanted him to be at the big man position, and now this is a serious step back. So hopefully maybe while he's out with this ankle injury, you can work on that jump shot. Sometimes the players go down with leg injuries, lower body injuries. They can really, iron out their form, get a lot of reps, and get everything going on that front. So maybe that's the one single positive, but just dealing with an ankle injury, it's just going to suck. Now, the one positive to take away from this is I think we'll get Ken Birch back a bit soon, but Thaddeus Young has been extremely effective in recent games. So even though he's not scoring a lot of points, doesn't have those potential scoring outbursts that Precious Achuiwa certainly has on any given night, he can certainly be a reliable presence to come off our bench and not mess anything up. And it might even be a positive at some points during the regular season because, Precious Achuiwa getting those opportunities. And this is where some people are coming from saying, oh, it's good that he's going to get benched and stuff. But Thaddeus Young won't have the lows of a Precious Achuiwa, but he definitely won't have close to the highs, at least, in terms of scoring and, blocking shots and doing all these crazy things Precious likes doing, even the 3-point shooting at times, even though it's been brutal this year. So we do have a guy that can sort of slot in and fill that role, but it just sucks. It just sucks, especially with him and Pascal Siakam now out to start this year. So hopefully out indefinitely. I tried WebMD in this injury here, the ankle, but we don't have enough information with just a couple of partially torn ligaments. I partially tore things in my knee. I still required a full surgery on it. So we'll see what ends up coming out. Any other updates that come out on Precious Achuiwa, we'll certainly cover them here. But the next thing we're discussing that I feel like we've covered less than other Raptors channels out there is an NBA executive has escalated the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander Raptors rumors. Now, as I said, we haven't really bought into a lot of the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hype to coming to the Raptors. I'm fully bought in this guy being a star, an all-star level guard out there in the NBA. Dude is having an, dare I say, MVP level season. He's in the MVP leaderboard in the similar places, similar positions to where Pascal Siakam was. But I digress on that. He won't win MVP this year, but he's playing at that. He's putting up those types of numbers. And now an NBA executive has juiced the hype of him potentially coming to the Toronto Raptors again. So essentially, this is the quote saying, "You keep hearing that Shai is frustrated with the losing." And so I think that's the Toronto thing that we've all heard about this with their interest in Shai during this summer. So that was an NBA executive, speaking on just Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's availability in general and all that sort of stuff. Now, my point has been held. Shai came out and said he's committed to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's what he voiced to the public, right? That's out there. Their GM has said it. They've only been tanking for 2 seasons. It's not like Philadelphia 3-4 years where they've been absolutely brutal. They had 1 season in Oklahoma City where Chris Paul, just a few years ago, down the bubble, where they made a little playoff push. They took the Houston Rockets to 7. So it hasn't been just all brutal for Shai down there in Oklahoma. And they do have some really nice young pieces with Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren there now, right? They have some pieces. The Jalen Williamses, Trey Mann. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they're going to have a nice young core group to build around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going forward. They have a multitude of draft picks. We'll see how they do this season. So I get it. And while this is being said, while it's being brought up by an NBA executive, those people have inside opinions and things. I'm sure there's frustration with Shai, being on another year of likely losing with Chet Holmgren going down with injury. The Thunder have been solid, though. They've been getting a few wins this year, but I think there's no chance he gets traded this season whatsoever, even if he demands his way out. I think, Sam Presti down there in Oklahoma City will say, hey, just ride it out one more year. If we're trash again next season, I don't care how frustrated you are. We'll let you sit out the entire season, right? All that stuff. But we want to see how this young core group looks. I don't think there's any way they're going to trade Shai at this point. But after a full year of potentially tanking, if things get messy next season, I think the Raptors are a legitimate destination if Shai properly gets disgruntled with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, and that's where I'd say these reports are sort of coming from. Shai's probably made it known in his inner circle, so the execs know that if he were to leave OKC, the Toronto Raptors are certainly a possible destination, but I don't foresee him leaving Oklahoma City anytime soon. So maybe he'll get super disgruntled potentially next year, right? And then forces his way out. But I don't see any chance, any possibility of it happening before then. But the rumors have been big, and where there's smoke, there sometimes is fire. Not always with NBA reports, but it's definitely a possibility. So we do have to discuss it when it's brought up by an NBA executive. But let me know what you guys think about the Raptors potentially acquiring Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at some point over the duration of his career, because he would be a perfect fit for this Raptors team. But you can't just be plucking. We're not Lakers fans out here knowing that we can just pluck people, or feeling like we can just pluck people from any other team, bring them into our squad. So even though it would be nice, it's nice that we're getting the rumors on that end of it rather than getting our players plucked from us, at least in these reports. So let me know what you guys think of all that in the comment section below. The next thing we're discussing is Nick Nurse speaking on the rotations going forward. Now, with Pascal Siakam and Precious Achuiwa going down, there's question marks about who's going to be, in these lineups, who's going to be starting for the Toronto Raptors, who's going to be playing these big man positions. And one name that's been brought up is Christian Koloko, as he's had some phenomenal games for the Raptors, some up and down, some where he has foul trouble and all that sort of stuff. But Nick Nurse came out in the post-game press conference and let it be known Christian Koloko will continue to start for the Toronto Raptors for this foreseeable future, especially with all of the injuries that we've sustained in recent games even, right? Even just the start of the year. Koloko, he mans the backside of that defense. He's not going to be a dude that backs down from anybody, whether he's blocking the shots or fouling. He'll definitely get in people's way, and Nick Nurse loves the impact there. Now, with Chris Boucher sort of struggles in recent games, some people speculate, maybe we should just start Boucher to get his game going. I like Boucher being that sixth man off the bench to provide an impact in terms of scoring, knocking down threes, keeping the energy, sustaining that level of defense. I think Boucher is best suited off the bench. That's been his best role in recent years. And some have even called for Thaddeus Young to play that 5 position, as he's been closing the last couple of games for us. And I think Thad, just being a veteran off the bench that doesn't need to be, in the starting lineup to boost his confidence and stuff. I think Chatty Thaddeus Young is in the right place. And we're not going to go super small with Otto Porter running the 5. So, maybe Kem Birch, some people might discuss. I think he's still injured and is more of an insurance dude, but we'll see. So it makes sense that Koloko will be the starting center, or the rest of our starters have been healthy. Probably see more Thad minutes, more Birch minutes, maybe even some Cruz Missile out here, right? Bo Cruz out here getting some opportunities. We'll see him and Delano Banton, usually like 9th men fighting for rotation minutes. Malachi Flynn is still chilling in the Nick Nursery, so it's cool that Koloko keeps getting the start, because the more he plays, the better he gets. So we'll continuously see him improve game after game. But the final thing we're discussing in this video is the real reason OG has taken the leap this season. Now, I've discussed on a consistent basis how I love just OG Anunoby being decisive with his moves, catching the ball in the wing, playing within the flow of the offense, and being effective at driving those lanes. Defensively, this guy is more locked in than ever, and it seems like he's more aggressive going in the passing lanes. And a good transition from our most recent topic, I think a big reason of that is Christian Koloko being a safety net on our backside, so OG Anunoby can truly get up into people, uses not only, because he's always been a ridiculous athlete, but uses athleticism and now his veteran IQ to really get into passing lanes, really know when to pick his spots. But those are all legitimate reasons for why OG Anunoby's taking the leap. But Fred VanVleet came out with his own insights in a post-game interview last night and essentially said that he's finally taking it personal. He's such a nice guy. If he got any meaner, it would be really scary. Fred VanVleet on OG Anunoby's defensive carnage lately. He's playing like a defensive player of the year. And while I'm not big on mentality and stuff and saying, hey, he's got that dog in him, it's a funny meme, right? But I think most NBA players, 95% of them, all have a dog in them to get to the place that they're going to be. They're all passionate about the game, mostly, for the most part, right? But with OG Anunoby, I don't think it's a lack of effort he's ever had. I don't think it's a lack of, trying. I think he's always been working to improve his game, always focused and locked in on basketball. I think the meaner, what Fred VanVleet means by meaner, or what I'm at least taking away from it from what I've seen, is just the confidence to go up to people and say, I'm that guy on the defensive end. I'm that guy on the offensive end, whether it works out or not, but especially on the defensive end, because he's one of the most naturally gifted defenders in the league, given his size, his frame, and mobility, right? I think that confidence to just go up into people, reach for those basketballs, take on the best matchup and say, I'm getting in these lanes and try to get these steals, right? He's looking mean to these defenders because he's going up with full force. That's knowing he's going to get that basketball. So shout out to Fred VanVleet, giving love to DPOY OG Anunoby, right? You love to see that. But let me know what you guys think of all of the news down below. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us out big time. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.